stare at my reflection in the mirror. Why am I doing this to myself? Losing my mind on a tiny error. I nearly left the real me on the shelf. Don't lose who you are in the blur of the stars. 'Cause seeing is deceiving, dreaming is believing. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's hard to follow your heart, but tears don't mean you're losing. Everybody's bruising, so just be true to who you are. Brushing my hair, do I look perfect? I forgot what to do to feed the most. The more I try, the less it's working. Oh, 'cause everything inside of me screams no. Don't lose who you are in the blur of the stars. 'Cause seeing is deceiving, dreaming is believing. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's hard to follow your heart, but tears don't mean you're losing. Everybody's bruising. There's nothing wrong with who you are. Yes, no egos, fake shows like whoa. Just go and leave me alone. Real talk, real life, good love, good night with a smile. That's my home. That's my home. Don't lose who you are in the blur of the stars, yeah. 'Cause seeing is deceiving, dreaming is believing. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's hard to follow your heart, but tears don't mean you're losing. Everybody's bruising. Just be true to who you are.
Beautiful. Oh. So can you hear her? Did you hear her? I love in that song where it says, seeing is deceiving, dreaming is believing. Just be true to who you are. And, you know, we're stepping into this Labor Day weekend. And it's fun and it's relaxing and we take a day off and we release. Maybe. I'm working today. And when I do this work, this is at work all week. It doesn't go away and it just keeps swirling and churning and moving and working within me. And that's the kind of work I want to talk about today. That's where I hope we can get to. Seeing can be deceiving. Dreaming is believing. So what's the dream? Do you even know? Some of us allow ourselves to lose that. What's the dream? Because it's not going to be the same now as it was 10 years ago. Maybe it is. Maybe parts of it are, maybe all of it is. But we evolve, we move, we change. And what is our work to do? Well, that can be the job that we're doing. Certainly it's important, we have bills to pay. But if that's what your work is, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're missing the point. There's so much more. Your work is not your job. Now, right now, probably maybe even right this minute as we're speaking, they're asking the kids upstairs, what do you want to be when you grow up? So here comes the audience participation piece. If I asked you that when you were 6 years old, if you care to share, I'm going to make you go right back to school. If you care to share, you're 6 years old. What do you want to be when you grow up? Dave. Center field for the Yankees. Yeah. What do you want to be? An author, a librarian, I heard. Yes. A forest ranger, yes. A teacher, yes. A nurse. A teacher. A dancer. A cowgirl. Woo! This is juicy, yes. I'm sorry, say it again. Oh, a flight attendant. Excellent. We want to be so many things when we're 6. And you know, yes, an actor. I love it. And when you're 6, don't you believe that you're going to be that? Don't you absolutely believe with every fiber of your being that that's what you're going to be? Because the world is your oyster when you're 6. Dreaming is believing when you're 6. Now, fast forward. You're in 6th grade. Things have changed a little. You're not 6 years, you're 6th grade. If I ask you in 6th grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? Anybody want to share 6th grades, what you wanted to be when you grew up? Oh, okay, yes, yes. A doctor or a teacher, so it's expanded a little bit. Yes. Married? Yes. Yeah, for girls, that's when it starts to kick in. Oh, he's cute, or she's cute. Maybe that'll be my partner for life. Things start to shift a little when you're in 6th grade. You're not looking at things like a 6-year-old anymore sometimes. Sometimes we lose that who you are, or it just changes. That's okay too. We have to make room for that. It may not always be the same thing. So from the time we're 6 years old, I shared before, I was going to be a veterinarian. I was going to have a zoo. Not necessarily that people came to, but my house was going to have that many animals. And I was going to just care for all of them. And there was never a guy in the picture for me. I don't know why that is, but it just, animals, everything was to me. I was going to have a monkey. It was going to be like my buddy, my kid, So that was when I was 6 years old. When I was in 6th grade, veterinarian was still there, but I was starting to think maybe teacher. Maybe I'd like to teach because I really respected my teachers. I thought they were pretty amazing and the things that they do. Of course, now one of my roles is a teacher, and I respect them 1,000 times more than I did in 6th grade. If half of us knew, if half of us could sit in a classroom for a day or a week and watch what these amazing individuals do for their jobs, teacher, counselor, doctor, psychologist, parent, everything comes into those roles. So let's fast forward again, shall we? If I asked you when you were 25, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you already feel like you're grown up at 25? I didn't have a clue. I had my job. We all have our job. We have to pay our bills. We have to do our job. Yeah, that was there. But I think 25 was when I felt a little bit adrift. And I thought, would any of these things be what I want to do? I had gone through a marriage. I was kind of upside down. I thought, really, I was a mom. I have to be an example for this child. What do I want to be when I grow up? So things shifted a little bit for me there. But as I've shared before, I grew up in unity, and so I always had this belief that whatever it was supposed to be, it was going to show up. It was going to make itself known. I was going to be pulled there. I know some people might feel that they move through life in a push or a direction or they might even have things all laid out. I get pulled. I love the divine pull. It feels so cool. Just that divine nudge. And most of the time it starts so quietly, there's just little sparks. Somebody will say something, somebody will do something, you go, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, I might like that. And then as soon as you feel the first little nudge, the first little tap, things just start to show up that catch your interest and keep the pull going. That can change. My son is 19. He's moving into his third year of college right now. And one of the counselors, when we went to a school board function for equality awareness, and one of the counselors there from the school board said to the youth that were all there in high school, that they were about 16 at the time, you are expected with today's projections to have 3 full, complete careers in your life. That wasn't the same. Years ago, you found the job that had the pension, that had the good benefits, that could provide for your family, and you stayed there until you retired, and it continued to provide. That's kind of a fairy tale these days. That doesn't happen very often anymore. It's not the same. We've evolved, we've changed. For the better, I'm not sure in some ways, but we've evolved and changed. So 3 possible full careers my 19-year-old son is looking at in his life. And right now he has those 3 different interests and doesn't know. He wanted to be a history professor. He wanted to be a marine biologist. And now he's on to computer tech programming and things like that. At some point in his life, if he stays looking for the flow, to be who he is authentically through his life, all 3 of those things are probably going to happen at some point or another. I decided right before I was 50 years old, suddenly I had to be a minister. Go figure. So I went back to school. I'm heavy into school now, and it's tough to be a grown-up with a job and a home and a family and school and learning intensives and papers and homework and all of that kind of stuff. And it's so juicy. It's so worth it. So decide. Think about what's tugging at your heart. Don't be afraid to move. Follow the dream, because the dream is what you're supposed to be believing right now, not the appearances. The appearances can be so disturbing right now. They can bring us to fear. Okay, so fear. Then take a deep breath. Say, okay, wow, what we have been through. Wow, what has changed. Wow, what is being revealed. When you think of your work, I hope you don't just think of a job. If I ask you today, right now, where you're at in your life, what do you want to be when you grow up? Would anybody like to share? Is there anything that's changed?
Last year, you inspired me, and this year I'm doing art show.
Yes, Ahimsa shared with me, and if you didn't hear that, God bless her, something I said stuck. And she was inspired last year to paint, to become an artist. And now she's doing art shows. Because you follow your heart. See, the thing is, upstairs right now talking to those kids, And down here, when I'm talking about work, I wonder if any of us aren't thinking about a job when I say the word work. I saw a quote from John Lennon quite some time ago. He said, "When I was young, my teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said, happy." And my teacher said, "I don't think you understand the question." And I said, "I don't think you do." So what do you want to be? And I don't mean what do you want to do. Reverend Taylor Stevens, my mentor, the most amazing man that has ever been one of my teachers, has taught me in his time here, Trish, because boy am I a doer. The Energizer Bunny looks like it's in slow motion if you put it next to me. Taylor said to me, "Trish, it's not about what you're going to do. It's about what you're going to be." And that's where we're at. You've got to follow that, because sometimes life takes a sharp left turn. And it can be terrifying if you don't know who you are. The bottom can fall out of your life, and you can still know who you are and who you are meant to be. Right now, you can be at a time of, my bank account is at a scary balance. Okay. Breathe. That's not who you are. It's probably been at a scary balance before. It'll probably be at a scary balance again. And if you follow who you are, what are you supposed to be being? The doing follows the being. And in my life at least, and in some of the examples that I want to share with you today, the safety, the peace, the money, the job has followed. Who you are comes first. And I want to suggest it's not who you are, it's remembering what you are. In Unity, we believe that we are the way God gets around, if you will. We're God with feet and hands. We're a part of the allness that God is. God is everything, and we're in it. Not like a raisin in a bun, not like something different we stuck in there. It's like God's the container and you're the little shoelace in the bottom of the container. It's not that. We are in God as a wave is in the ocean. We are in God as a molecule is in the ocean. We're part of it. So if you can remember what you are, the who will follow the what. The safety, the bliss, the love will follow that. It all rolls out. I wanted to share some examples with you today, and no, I'm not using me this time, because last time that was a little scary for me. Let's see if there we go. Many of you may know these lovely individuals. This is in their later years. This is Myrtle and Charles Fillmore. They are the founders of Unity Movement. The Unity Church that we are in today happened because that lovely woman right there, they didn't smile in those days in pictures. It's so funny. I always see Myrtle as such a joyous, tongue-in-cheek kind of person, and every picture is stoic. Every picture. That's just what they did in those days. This is about 112, this isn't, but the Unity Movement started about 130 years ago because Myrtle Fillmore decided that she was not her disease. She decided that this sickly body that she had been born in was not going to contain who and what she was. And she started a prayer ministry. She heard a gentleman named Dr. E.B. Weeks, who was big in the New Thought circles in those days. He said, "I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness." because all her life she was told, you're just sickly. Your father's family is a sickly family, and you happen to be born into that family. Sorry for your luck. She had tuberculosis, and she was supposed to die. Well, this is a woman who, when women were supposed to stay home, went to school, went to college, was a teacher, had her own school when she was in her 20s. She did not listen to what people told her she was supposed to be and do. And so when she heard that, it changed her at her core in some way. Wait, if God is my father, languaging was a little different in those days. If that is my father, how am I sick? And she started to talk to every part of her body. And the core here is she believed what she was saying. I can walk around all day saying, I am successful. I am fine. And if behind those words is, oh God, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. Oh, I don't know how. If that's what's behind the words, that's what's at work. That's what's driving the car. She believed it. And she healed herself from terminal tuberculosis. The medicines had stopped working, and she healed. And then she started with the milkman's child and the mailman's child, who were both sickly, and people saw how she was getting better. And they started asking her questions. What happened? Why do you look so good? And she started saying, okay, well, try this and try this. I can't do it for you, but try this. See how it sits with you, and believe, pray believing. And people started to get well around her. And in those days, as I'm sure would be today, people started talking. And nobody could ignore what was happening. And it started as a prayer group in their home. People started to come to Myrtle to be healed as though she was a healer. And she kept telling everyone, I can't do anything for you. I can tell you what I did. And maybe if you do what I did, it will work for you too. And she became well. And Charles was a scientist, was absolutely a not religious man. I don't even know that he really truly believed in what God was or a God. And he thought, well, I got to figure this out because I can tell that something happened to her. So he started sitting in the silence as she did and basically waiting for God to say something. And he sat in the silence with this attitude. Go ahead, say something. Go ahead. And if this is the attitude that you're saying, go ahead, life. I deserve it. Hand it to me. Good luck. Because this is the overarching attitude, and that's what you're going to get back. If you're throwing out resistance, that's what's coming back your way. Enjoy. It's not just me saying that, it's the law of the universe. So feel into what you're feeling out. What ripples are you making? We all make ripples. We're like throwing a stone in the grand ocean, the grand pond. We're all making these ripples, these waves with what we are. Because of what they did, and they were not setting out to start a church. Even when they incorporated unity, it was incorporated as a society for educational purposes. People were supposed to go there, have discussion groups, and go back to their church. Except once people started having these discussions and realizing how this moves you, their beliefs didn't fit in their church anymore. And as it evolved, it became a church. So they never set out to have a church. Never, 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 never. But because of who they were and believing in the dream, we sit here today, over 100 years later. So Charles and Myrtle are some of my examples, and they're really absolutely amazing. Anybody know who she is? I love Ellen DeGeneres. She's awesome. Ellen DeGeneres was a comedian who was a great working comedian. She was making dough. They gave her a series called Ellen in the late 1990s. She had this series, and it was going strong. And her life, to all appearances, seemed to be absolutely what anyone could want. She had all the money she wanted. She had fame. Except she wasn't being honest to who she was. So in 1997 on the Oprah show, she came out as gay. And then, in the most hilarious way possible, she did it on her show, Ellen. I don't know if any of you ever saw the episode, but it's beautiful. She's in an airport. She's trying to be secretive with a woman, and she can't quite get the words out, and they're in the flight leaving area, and the microphone is on where the flight attendants call your flight, and she's saying, well, I'm trying, and she leans forward and says, I'm gay, right into the microphone, so that the entire flight crew could, so that everybody could hear it. Well, shortly after being authentic in 1997, everything fell apart for her. People were not ready. People were not ready. AIDS was coming out. People thought only gay people get AIDS. There was fear running rampant. People were afraid of this woman who made them laugh. In my own life, I experienced it as well. Two of my best friends were a gay couple, Rick and Jesse. And when I had my daughter, they would babysit, we hung out, and I'll never forget one time when Rick was holding my daughter. Now, please understand, this is when we were just hearing about AIDS. Nobody knew what was going on. One of my friends said, you don't let them hold your baby, do you? Because they were afraid that we were going to get AIDS. People wouldn't sit on the same toilet seat. It was a terrifying time for everybody. We know so much more now. We fast forward, we know so much more now. That was a stupid thing to say, a hurtful thing to say, a horrifying thing to believe. It's where those people were. Fast forward in her life. She went back to being a stand-up comedian because it's what she knew and she felt like she could make a life at it. And so she went back to being that and was true to who she was. When Oprah asked her, why are you deciding to come out? Why are you doing this now? Why are you doing this here? She said, because it's okay. I love that statement. There shouldn't be anything wrong with this. It shouldn't be an issue. Today, her authenticity, her bravery is affording millions of dollars to millions of people, because when she came back and now she has her show that has won more than 30 Emmys, that has done so much good for so many people all over the world, she gives it back. And that's because she stayed true to who she was, even when she didn't feel okay. It's okay not to be okay. It really is. Stay true to who you are. So, some of you may know who these people are. For those of you who are going, I don't get it. Okay. It's not just famous people that go through and do this. This wonderful couple is Bill and Joan Aronson. Bill and Joan Aronson have been involved in our church for years. Bill was the president of our board at one time, and our church was dying. Our church we were really close to closing the doors. And he had to make some really tough decisions. And he stayed true to who he was. Yesterday, my husband and I, my family and I, the whole family went to Fort Myers for this lovely lady's 80th birthday. This is what 80 and 86 years old looks like. So yesterday we're celebrating Joan's 80th birthday, and it made me really think about, what is my work? What is this life? What are we all called to do? Bill served in the military. He has an honor wall in his house with his medals. He's been a salesman. He's been a lot of different things. He's been a board president. He's been a father. He's been a stepfather. He's been an amazing example. They're what I want to be when I grow up. Because 80 and 86, and Joan, any of you who know her, held court yesterday in her. She's the queen, and we call her the queen. So these people may not be famous, but we all have this. We come into this life with these little rocks. We're a little rock. Throw a pebble into the pond. Make your ripples. The ripples that these two have made in 80 and 86 years. I don't know how many people's lives they've touched. I know mine is huge that they've touched, because I never used to sing. I wouldn't sing in church because it was too personal for me. And she came up to me and said, "You will sing for me." And I started singing because of her in the church. Bill yesterday couldn't be at Joan's party because right now he is in a physical rehab facility because he was quite sick for a spell, and he hasn't been able to come home yet. So they FaceTimed him. Oh, that's the other thing. These guys evolve, believe me. He's on his phone Facebooking before I even knew how to put an app on my phone. He's telling me how, and getting emails on his phone and everything. They FaceTimed him into the party yesterday. And so we went to the party, and then we went to his hospital room, and maybe one of them was watching, or both of them today, and I love you guys so much. They are still making waves. He's 86 years old. They finally moved into an independent living facility that is amazing, and he's on the board. They're still going strong. They're still going strong. They're still touching lives. They're still making ripples. They're so vibrant. You may see them here because every once in a while they get a wild hair and they drive here from Fort Myers on a Sunday morning. They come to service, they go out to lunch with us, and they drive back to Fort Myers. 80 and 86 years old. I want to be them when I grow up. So we all have these stones. We all are these. We're making our ripples. What kind of ripples do you want to make? These are my grandchildren. This is Emily, who is 10, and Jonathan, who is 10 months. And I look at them, and I'm so, so grateful to be a huge part of their lives. I don't know how grandparents who are distant grandparents do it. My heart just goes out to you because I feel so gifted to be close to them and to be able to tweak along their stone, to be able to help them throw the next one and see where the ripples go. And I look into those faces and I wonder, where will they go? What will they be? What will they do? Yesterday we were standing at the piano. There was a piano at Joan's party, and I had my grandson, and I was holding him. And the pianist said, "Oh, he's young, but start him young on music because it's a good thing to do. It helps them in school." And my grandson, who doesn't speak yet, he's 10, well, he speaks a lot, but he doesn't say words that we understand very well. He was watching the hammers hitting the strings in the piano, and he was leaning and he was entranced, and he watched for a good 15 minutes, absolutely motionless, watching and looking at the pianist and watching and looking at the pianist. And we sang a little bit, and he started singing with us. And you felt his whole body go. He went with it. We were making waves. You're making waves. Right now, through our meditation, through sitting here, you are radiating out waves. The people around you can't help but feel them. The world around us can't help but react to them. We are making waves. Who are you? I know what you are. So don't forget who you are. It is never too late to be what you want to be. And that being can change. Ahimsa shared earlier. So if I ask you today, what do you want to be when you grow up? I hope that the answer might not be a job. I hope the answer is something that makes your heart sing. Because when your heart sings, you do. The light coming off of you dances. The energy coming off of you affects other people. When you're doing what you are meant to be, your whole persona changes. People can feel it. When you have that love, your life will create those ripples. So speaking of these ripples, I like reminders. I'm a tangible kind of gal. So when you leave here today, when you're walking out in the front area here, there's going to be a basket with a whole bunch of rocks. Some of them are big, some of them are little. I want you to take at least one or two. But I'd like for you, if you would like to stop and grab at least a couple of them. And maybe in remembering who you are, it'll sit on your desk just as a tangible reminder. Maybe you'll take a walk to a lake this afternoon and toss it in and watch the ripples. Our kids are going to do the same thing. So I hope that you will remember who you are, that you will believe your dreams, and that you will allow your heart to sing. Thank you for letting me share with you today. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.